Hello, everyone, and welcome back to a new episode of our podcast, Hello Youth, Hello Process. Today we are with a very special guest. She's Christina, she's a youth worker, and today she will be with us. Hello, Christina, how are you?
Hello, and thank you for inviting me to this podcast. I'm good. I'm a bit freezing at the moment because Brussels has a very cold temperature at the moment, but hello, we're here for a very interesting podcast, so let's see.
Thank you. Yeah, definitely. It's definitely cold nowadays. Brussels, if I'm not wrong, it's going to be your first winter here, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I mean, I've been here occasionally in the past, but living here, yes, it's gonna be my first original winter. Let's see how it goes. Yeah, how about you? This is your first as well, no?
It's also my first winter, so let's try to survive. I'll try to do my best, even the fact I don't know what's gonna happen. But yes, at least I'll try to find some warm spaces and warm content in some way for this winter in all the topics related to youth. And it will be nice to open also now here this space to talk about youth goals, talk about topics related to things that are related to youngsters, of course. So today we will talk about democratic life, and I guess you have some things that you can talk about in this field, and more especially related to Brussels.
Yes. Well, let's put it into some context to begin with. I'm the Secretary General of the Cyprus Youth Council. So my everyday work relates to enhancing youth participation in terms of youngsters participating in the civic and democratic life of their countries. And I'm also representing my National Youth Council to the Advisory Council of Youth of the Council of Europe, meaning that I'm an elected member of that organization, which is the only co-management structure when it comes to youth participation and the institutions. I mean, not the EU, but the Council of Europe in that case. So I would say there are many different ways that a youngster can participate in their local context, in their national context, or in an international context when it comes to the democratic life of either their national reality or of an international reality. So how do we do that? If we put into perspective Brussels in this sense, what we could begin with is engaging into the local councils, for example, in each region, regional councils, etc., or even the three existing youth councils representing Belgium, the French-speaking, the Flemish-speaking, and the German-speaking national youth councils that all together form the three national youth councils, basically, of Belgium.
Okay.
So what do national youth councils do? They are responsible for putting policy priorities for young people into the table, for lobbying, for advocacy, when it comes to youth participation, youth rights, employment, social welfare, LGBTQI plus rights, you name it, they do it, basically. And they are representing you, young people like us, basically, young people on a national but also on an international level.
Okay.
So what we could suggest is that young people follow the work of their national youth councils and they participate and engage in all the actions that they do. For example, they may do simulations of the European institutions. They may do simulations of the national parliaments. They submit policy recommendations to the relevant institutions, authorities, etc., regarding young people. So there are many several ways for a youngster to participate in democratic life in that sense. Then we also have the youth dialogue, which is a project run directly by the Executive Agency of Education and Culture. And it's chaired, there is this steering group that consists of the trio presidency of the Council of the European Union. So, for example, in this case, it would be currently
Sweden, Spanish, Belgium.
Yeah.
The one that left and the one that is actually now.
Yeah,
and
now
the one
it's
that is
Belgium.
coming.
Now it's Belgium.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
So in this case, we have Belgium.
Now
and
it's Spain.
it's no.
The
I think
one that is coming is Belgium.
the one that is, I think Spain already ended. It's Belgium already
Okay.
because it was the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think they took
yeah,
over
yeah.
already. I'm not sure, but I think they took
Okay.
over. I mean, they're organizing something in March already, so it has to be they took over. Anyway, they may be taking over.
Yeah.
Anyway, we just named the trio presidency.
Yeah.
So we have the trio presidency responsible for setting the relevant EU youth goals that they will be concerned with in order to promote policies for young people. They all come together. It's the national authorities for youth, the Ministry of Youth, but most importantly, it's the National Youth Councils representing young people and youth organizations. And also we have the European Youth Forum that is chairing the steering group on an EU level.
Okay.
Then all of this together co-decide on the topics based on the EU youth goals, and then they set the EU youth goals for their 18th month mandate, 6 months each. And then this project, basically this program, goes all around Europe and collects the ideas of young people and their needs based on these 3 EU youth goals.
Okay.
3, 2, depending on how many, it could be either one, depending on the priorities of the trio presidency, basically. So there are several steps throughout this project, this procedure. First, we have the consultations with the young people on a national level. So to reach out to your national youth councils, they are responsible for running the youth dialogue in your context. And they run consultations with informal groups, with youth organizations, conferences, etc., based on these three youth goals. And then they collect these ideas and these needs, and they submit the national report that then these collective EU reports will be basically voted in the Council of Ministers, of Youth Ministers, to be adopted as official positions for youth.
Okay.
Then we have, after the consultations, we have the application phase. It's not called the application phase, it's consultation and then implementation phase. Through the implementation phase, some of these ideas are put forward by the youngsters themselves, and they try to start engaging into like advocacy, lobbying, etc., in order to push for these priorities that they have to be adopted in a national context. For example.
This procedure, how does it work? How a youngster can directly go on that? So
the National Youth Council responsible have open applications, for example, for participating in the consultations, for participating in the implementation phase. You can also participate through the online questionnaires regarding the youth goals that are under examination during the trio presidency. There are several ways, either formal or online or offline. But it truly depends on how each national youth council run the process. It could be that a youngster participates, for example, it's in its regional youth council, and then the regional youth council submits to the national youth council. It has different ways, but I would suggest that you reach out to your national youth councils. You can find them in the website of the European Youth Forum in the members section, that you put national youth councils, and then you will find the National Youth Council of your country, in this case Belgium, and then you can reach out to them and see how they run the youth dialogue in a national context. And then young people can participate into that, express their opinions, their views, and then these views are then transferred to the relevant authorities, and in this case, the European Union, for example, and they are to be adopted by the Council of Youth Ministers. So what I would suggest is that follow your national youth councils, follow any international youth NGOs that are based in Brussels.
Okay.
They could be thematic, so we have for climate, we have for LGBTQI, we have for humanitarian aid, we have scouts, we have student unions, anything you can imagine. These you can also find on the website of the European Youth Forum, and then you can directly approach them, engage, participate, be elected in their board, in their boards, and then basically engage into the democratic life of both your national reality and on an international level. So
wow.
yeah, it's too much. It's too much of an information, isn't it?
Yeah, but at the same time, so necessary, I guess, if someone out there is listening us, hopefully yes. It's a very useful information in general. Do you think Brussels is a nice ecosystem to find places, to find organizations and structures where to participate?
Actually, Brussels is one of the best ecosystems in the sense that we have the institutions based here, some of the institutions based here. So many of the youth organizations, the international youth organizations, choose deliberately to have their base here. And then do their advocacy and their policy work within the context of the institutions, for example. So there are many different NGOs, either national or local or international youth NGOs that you can participate in, and then it comes down to also your personal interests. So what are you interested in? Are you interested in LGBTQI plus rights? Are you interested in simulations of, for example, the European Parliament? Are you interested in climate, the climate emergency and climate change? What are you interested in? Brussels has at least one NGO for each of your interests. I mean, I would say at least, because there are thousands of youth NGOs here in Brussels. So at least one you can already find that is of some interest to you. And something else that's very important when it comes to also youth participation comes in many forms, in many different forms. It could be volunteering, it could be protesting, it could be campaigning, it could be formal participation in elections, for example, like voting. It could be being elected in an organization that represents young people. It could come in many, many, many different forms. So anything that basically gets people, like young people, outside of their beds and takes them to volunteer for something, that's already youth participation in the broader context, for example. So in that sense, yes, Brussels is the best ecosystem you can actually navigate through in order to find your interests, your people. That's very important as well. Your people, and then start volunteering, start working on youth participation yourselves as well.
Yeah, I guess that's so important also now that you're sharing this at the very end. I guess every time when we are talking about youth, of course, we're talking about people that is usually between, I don't know, I would say 16 and 30 years old. But inside this group, you have a very, very different motivations, things that we prefer, things that we prefer not that much, interests in general. So it's nice to know that you can find organizations and you can find places where to collaborate. And yes, definitely. Thank you so much for all your words, because definitely are very, very helpful. Let's try to finish this podcast with something more chill. Let's try to go back here again to Brussels. As far as you've been here, what's your favorite place?
Oh, okay. Well, place. What kind of place? Can
I don't
say
know. It can
neighborhood,
be
for example?
Yeah, it can be a neighborhood. Why
Yeah.
not?
Well, I would say Marol
Uh-huh.
because it's very multicultural and it's very artistic and it's basically it has something for everyone.
Okay.
So I would say Marol in general, but yeah, I guess yes for now at least. I mean, it's
Okay.
not been long, so
Yeah.
let's see.
You like the city at least?
Yeah, I like the city. Well, I don't like the dull of the weather.
Okay,
but,
yeah.
but I
Yeah.
really like the city, yes. So
Nice.
Brussels has something for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
I would say take the opportunity and find that specific thing that's meant for you.
Great. So we will close here the podcast. Thanks all of you also to be there, hearing us, listening us. Please, if you are really interested on this, you can find more information. Is there any website where maybe most probably the council, the youth council of Belgium, isn't it?
Yes.
If they Google it, that should be enough.
Yes, and also the European Youth Forum website that you can also register to their newsletter, and then you can receive many different information when it comes to youth rights, youth participation, opportunities, etc. So I would say reach out to your National Youth Council and reach out to the European Youth Forum.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Christina, and thank you to all of you. Bye-bye.
Bye.